Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. It's nice to have you with us once again. Today we're going to be doing something fun, and this whole idea came about from listener comments that came into Media Network Plus. We always, of course, ask for suggestions, and one suggestion that kept popping up quite a bit was radio reviews. Yeah, that's right. We should, people suggesting we should do shortwave radio reviews. Now, we can't do it on every month's edition because that would be a little bit boring, but we can start doing it from time to time. And a number of you suggested that we should also accompany the reviews that we do on the show with a video review that you can watch at our website. And we thought, well, let's do it. So this actually is the first one of a new series of programs from PCJ. Now, the last edition of Media Network Plus, we talked about a new radio that has come out by Sangen. Now, for those who are not familiar with Sangen is one of the world leaders of radios, not just shortwave, but AM, FM, DAB, almost anything you could think of. They make small ones, they make large ones, they make medium-sized ones, they make them of all different sizes. Well, not too long ago, there was a new receiver that many people were waiting for, and that is the Sangen ATS909x. Some of you are saying, wait a second, the ATS909, I already know that. No, but this is the X. Yes, the Xbox of radios, if I can put it that way. And here it is, the brand new Sangen ATS909x. And I have to say, on a superficial level, even the packaging on this radio is much nicer than the original 909. I still have the box for the original 909, and it's kind of blech compared to this one. Now, for those who are not familiar with the 909, this is what the original 909 looks like. Small number pads, just a small display, not very well backlit. When you tune, there's always gaps, either 5 kilohertz or 1 kilohertz, a gap between it tuning to the new frequency, which is a little bit of a problem in some people's minds. But nevertheless, it was a very popular receiver, has served people very well, and everyone that has a 909 that I've spoken to is extremely happy with it. Now, Sangen, just to give you a little bit of the history, Sangen started in the 1970s. And when they started, they didn't make radios under the Sangen name for overseas. They made radios called Sangen that were sold here in Taiwan and other parts of Southeast Asia. But they were mainly known for manufacturing radios for other companies like Sony, Panasonic, Emerson, and many others, even Radio Shack, And something that you may not be familiar with, but if you have a Sony radio that says made in Japan, guess what? Actually, it's made in Taiwan. And you're probably wondering, what is all that about? Well, what Sangen would do is, let's say Sony, for example, right? The radio is put together here in Taiwan, meaning put together, all the parts are put into a box. The box is sent to Japan. In Japan, it's assembled by Sony, and then they put the Made in Japan label. But if you go further back in the steps, the radio is actually from Taiwan. Okay, that's a little bit of the history. They make radios for other makers, and now they're, of course, branding their own brand, which is Sangen. Let's move now to the Xbox of radios, the Sangen ATS909x. And here it is. Isn't this gorgeous? I'm telling you, any shortwave receiver that I've handled in the last few years, this one I am very impressed by. Number one, the volume knob is here. The tuning knob is here. And if you're, say, tuning single sideband or any frequencies at 5 kilohertz or 1 kilohertz, you just rotate it like this. And the nice thing is, there's no more that split-second gap when you're tuning. So when you're tuning, if you're just turning the dial like this, it's like tuning an old-fashioned radio. You don't have any break in sound or anything. The other nice thing about it is the display. The display is bigger, and it's very, very, very well lit. Just to give you an example of how lit it is, let me just power it on, and I'm just, of course, I'm not gonna tune to any particular frequency. So this is what it's like when it's not lit. But if you push the button here and do that, you see, this is much brighter than this one, which is the old 909. If I do that, and then you hit the backlight, see, you can barely see it. You can barely see it. So look at the difference. This one is on. This one is also on. Look at the difference. See, huge difference. That's why I'm saying this radio is absolutely phenomenal. Now, there were some other quick features and other things that the radio has, so let's now have a closer look at it. See what I mean? It's a fantastic looking radio, and also what's nice, like I mentioned just a moment ago, is the larger keypad. The other thing that's very nice about this radio is something that I happen to like. Now, I use rechargeable batteries. This radio, you don't even need to take the batteries out. You can leave them inside the radio. You can't use nickel-cadmium batteries. You have to use nickel metal hydrate batteries. And you just leave them inside the radio. And if you open up the battery compartment, there you see the batteries. Here there are two switches. One switch is for the 9 kilohertz skip or the 10 kilohertz skip, depending on if you're in Europe or North America. And then over here, you have another switch, which says alkaline and nickel metal hydrate or nickel cadmium batteries. Sorry, you can use nickel cadmium batteries. So that means you can put the batteries in the radio, and there's a charging light right here, and you can charge it in the radio. Fantastic. Now, one of the other big improvements that I've seen about this radio is actually not about the radio itself, but about the power supply. Now, as you know, in many parts of the world, electrical wiring is different, grounding is different. Now, the building that I'm in Taiwan is over 10 years old, so it's an older system in place, so grounding is not exactly perfect, which meant every time I would use the power adapter on this radio, I would always get this very annoying hum that would play in the background. It was just, you couldn't listen, which is the reason why I always use batteries. Well, the new adapter for the ATS909x has improved. I don't get that noise anymore. Any background noise that was caused in the previous adapter on the old 909 is gone with this one. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now, some of the things that are the same. The case. It is the same. The only difference, different color, and it's a little bit more softer. It's artificial leather, of course. The other thing that they've included with the package when you buy the radio is one of these, a portable external antenna. I have one, and when I bought my original 909, it only came with this, and you had to plug this into the antenna input on the radio. So it means if you had another radio that didn't have it and you wanted to use this antenna, you couldn't do it. But now they've also included this. So you just have to plug that in there, and you can also use it on any other radio. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I give this radio 9 stars for look, for performance. There's no way, there's no comparison. There is no comparison. Why performance? Well, what I decided to do is to pick up the same station on the same frequency and compare it back to back with each other. First, let's take a listen to the 909, the regular 909, listening to Radio Australia with a frequency that's not directed to this area.
Elton's songwriting skill. At the beginning of this, you were saying, listen to how long the verse goes before he even gets to a chorus.
Oh, I just am astounded. The chorus doesn't kick in with the drums till about minute 45, it seems, because his verses and his bridges are so strong that you don't feel like you're treading water. And then suddenly it gets even better, the song. And that's, I never tried to play that one, but I must have a little look at it one day.
You see what I mean? I mean, it is absolutely quite phenomenal. Now, inside my apartment, I can never use, for some reason, the whip antenna on this radio. It it was terrible. I just picked up so much interference and background noise and everything else. On this one, I can turn it on. I can use the internal, the built-in antenna, the whip antenna, inside. Of course, the signal is not as good as if I put it outside, you know, but that doesn't matter because I have to use external antennas anyway. So, performance, 10. Now, the only thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about is the price. The ATS909 was already an expensive radio. This one is, in some places, selling as much as $499, which is a little bit shocking. That's the only thing that I don't like about the radio. Everything else is fine, and I love it, but the price I am not so fond about. Now, here in Taiwan, of course, I paid a lot cheaper. So if anybody from Sangen is watching or any of the retailers out there, you know, come on, guys, look, you know, try to do something. It's a little bit overpriced. Now, another thing about this radio that I'm going to take a moment to tell you about, because starting next month, the month of June, PCJ is going to be giving away one brand new ATS909 to one lucky winner. That's right, we're going to be giving away to one lucky winner. To find out all the details, just keep going to our website, pcjmedia.com, and we'll make the announcement about how the contest will work, and you yourself can own one of these brand new Sangen ATS909x receivers. Now, if you want to find out more radio reviews, there's a number of websites you can get them from. One of the best ones out there is dxer.ca from Colin Newell. You can check out their website at dxer.ca. Well, that's it. That's all we have time for on this first radio review from PCJ. The next review will be coming up in a few weeks, and we're going to be reviewing a Texan radio, that a very popular radio, and it's sold under two names, the Texan name and another name, but we'll tell you about that in the next edition. So, that's it. That's all we have time for. So, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, and sayonara.